Good afternoon, this is Jenny Geese, and I am coming to you from my backyard right now, and just want to talk to you about some of the ways that we can observe what's going on in nature around us and just be so amazed by God's creative abilities and just the great creativity that is in our natural world around us, and to just stop and think about it and take some appreciation for it, and just sit in that place of wonder. And so yesterday when I was driving, I had the honky noise go overhead, and I saw, for me, I think it was my first of the fall, my first little V formation of geese flying overhead, and it was kind of a small group, maybe about 15 or so of them, fly over my car, making all their noise. And so I thought, oh, what a great thing to talk about today, because if you joined in at all last Friday, what I talked about was the fact that last Friday was the fall equinox, and we were at that point of changing over into the days growing shorter. And I said in the next couple of weeks, we're going to talk about all the things that daylight change triggers. And so bird migration is one of the things that is triggered, one of the many things that's triggered by daylight. So focusing on geese, just a couple little fun facts about geese, so you know a little bit more about them when you see your V formations going overhead. They are a bird that mates for life. So they will stay connected with each other for 10 to, oh my gosh, like 25 years, depending on how long they live, that particular pair both live. Goes on for they stay together. And they will be, in those pairs going overhead, you will see the mated pair together in that. A goose, if they are going to migrate, because not all of our Canada geese still migrate, sometimes they are getting a little sedentary, because of bubblers in ponds that keep ponds open, that people do on their manicured type lawns, cornfields that are left with a lot of corn in them, so they can find food, they can find open water, even in the colder temperatures, they can survive the colder temperatures. So some of our Canada geese are getting a little sedentary. But for those that do still migrate, they'll go 2,000 to 3,000 miles. They will head south of here, and they go along their migration routes, which we'll talk about in a second. And they can go like 1,000 miles in a day, though, depending on the tailwind that they have going on. They can go anywhere between 40 to 70 miles an hour, which is pretty impressive. The V formation, and you've probably seen that little poem about, teamwork and all of that, but it's really true. That front bird is a little bit lower than the rest, and as they go back through that V, they're all a little bit higher than the other. And the scientists really do believe that is, that front goose is creating like a windbreak, and the rest of them are going in on that like backdraft. And so they hunk and they encourage each other, and they're move, and then they switch positions and somebody else takes the lead. And so that's kind of an amazing and cool thing. Scientists have been banding geese for a very long time. What I didn't know, because back when I worked with the park, I had the opportunity to do some banding, and we would just put the band on. Whatever was learned about that bird later on, it had to be recaptured again, the band read, and then the history of it looked up. So that was, are you going to catch the same bird twice? Or be able to get close enough to like a goose and read its band if it's banded, and do that 2 or 3 or 4 times to kind of get this pattern. But I guess bands today have almost like a GPS kind of thing inside of them, so scientists are learning a lot more about them, and it's really quite fascinating, and their distances traveled and the path that they take and all of that. So very cool. But the big question is, why do birds migrate at all, right? I mean, think about if you had the opportunity to stay, would you stay or would you go? Would you fly to a place where it was, the reasons that we give, the simple reasons are, okay, well, in the fall, they go down south, it's warmer, there's more food available, there's open water available, which geese need to stay away from predators, to be able to swim out into the middle of a pond. kind of loud activity going on in my neighborhood today. Um, so that all makes sense, right? But why do they migrate? And so we've identified probably about 10,000 different bird species, and scientists say about half of them are migratory. Well, that's a lot, right? So here's something to just hold on to. And I think this in and of itself is a prayer. When the days start to grow shorter in the fall or start to grow longer in the spring, birds have photoreceptors in their brains. Now, scientists don't know exactly how, so they sense, okay, so they do know that they sense the change in daytime, day length. Why, though, that sensing of that then triggers in their body what it triggers in their body, which is hormonal changes, changes in digestive patterns, an increase in the need to eat, an increase in building up muscle so that they can withstand that long trip. That all starts to change in their body. It allows their body to then be readied for migration, which is amazing, right? And then how do they know how to migrate? And it's they use the sun, they use the moon, they use the stars. They have an internal magnetic compass that actually will return them to their flight pattern, their flight path. Scientists have taken birds from here and taken them out to Iowa or whatever. I'm just kind of making that up, but they take them far away, and those birds will find their way back and into their normal migratory path, that they take to go south and that they take to come back north in the spring. And it's also astounding, and it's also clever, and I love science, and I love learning things, but I really love when we can't figure stuff out. I think that's really cool, because it's there yet to be figured, and it's so complex and it's so creative, and for me that just is a reason to just sit back in awe of God and God's creative abilities. So I hope you can get out today and be in awe of something in your own backyard, and I will see you on Sunday. Bye.